above, you've got San Jose who's giving up 27. You've got FC Dallas who's giving up 24. I mean, these teams, while everything's really compact, they're giving up goals.
They are.
And if we're going to start kind of melding our attackers together, and they're starting to gel, and they're starting to figure each other out. As Twellman said last night, Darwin and start playing well together. Yep. This is a potent attack,
and that's why I think the U.S. Open Cup has been so pivotal. I mean, just in the last 2 matches that they've played in that in the Cup, I think they're finding something out. They're figuring out how to play together within the system that we have, within the new players that we have. And
that's the best part about MLS not taking the U.S. Open Cup seriously.
Yeah.
Is Adrian Heath is deciding to take it seriously.
Clearly.
Yeah. So he feels the heat on his seat, and he's doing this. He's playing these games like they should be played, and his opponents aren't, which is allowing him to get his players to just focus on the fundamentals of playing together.
Yeah. So if he on the hot seat, if say Minnesota United does not make the playoffs,
he's gone.
He's gone.
Yep. I think they kind of hinted at that yesterday. But I mean, it's hard not to disagree with that because they have set him up. We're on, which I have now fully bought into the 3-year plan, but we are in year 3 of that plan, and that plan was to make a run in the playoffs.
It should be. But my concern with this goes back to Sterling's point of bringing in a number 10. What I talked about in the offseason was guys working together.
Right.
My concern, in any other sport, baseball, you bring in a good hitter or a good pitcher, it doesn't matter. They can be in there and they can do a great deal. Hockey, you got lines. Football, no trades happen anyways. Basketball, same way. You don't have to really work together to make a good point.
Right.
In soccer, you bring in a 10. How concerned should we be about a 10 coming in and not clicking with everybody? That's my concern.
That is a good concern, and because let's say if the transfer window opens, I think it's around July 9th.
Yep.
Let's say they start working on, maybe they already are. I don't know how the inner workings can work, but let's say they come in. It's not going to be on July 9th. It's going to be, say, towards the end of the month.
Yep.
It's a condensed schedule. The season is over.
Yeah.
We're talking about a couple of months where that player could come in, whatever player that is, and make an impact. Is that enough time? And I think you're saying you're worried about that.
I'm worried about it because a 10 is a pivot point for your offense. Right?
Yeah.
If a 10 doesn't work out with your other guys in the field, you're screwed.
Like Darwin, how would he fit in with?
Well, exactly. Let's go to Darwin.
We're ahead of ourselves.
We're gonna talk. If we get a 10, we're gonna move Darwin somewhere else. How does he work with that 10 and with Angelo in that new position?
Well, so in my argument, I think Darwin has looked better when they kind of allow him to go towards his natural position.
Sure.
So the problem is it's so difficult to judge because you have Angelo out there, and they're very different players, and there's an argument that they didn't gel together. But now there's this issue of, well, maybe they're figuring it out.
Maybe they are. And actually, who was it? Was it Corey from True North Elite that brought up? Didn't he bring up the fact that Jan Gregus could potentially play a 10?
Right. He plays a 10 with Slovakia.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, and just seeing his play yesterday, it was exciting to watch because you could see that. So, you could see maybe
there's those little
bit of juggling. But maybe they're figuring that out now.
Guys, it always concerns me when you talk about, especially soccer, when you talk about how guys work together.
Let's put it this way. There's no doubt that Minnesota United have a talented roster, much improved. We said that.
Definitely.
But would you still say that they need to make a significant acquisition in this window to not just make the playoffs, but make a potential run?
For me, they do.
They do.
Because while Gregus, who we had no idea played a 10, plays a 10, I don't see him being his natural role.
Yeah.
Now, we also have Kevin Molino. He plays 10 with Trinidad. That's not his natural role. I think if you want to play a 4-2-3-1, like Adrian Heath wants to, like apparently Manny and Dr. McGuire want them to, you need a 10 who plays a 10. He plays a 10 for his club team. Right. If he were to be selected for his national team, he plays a 10 for his national team. Right. The 10 is the most pivotal role in the midfield when you're playing a formation like 4-2-3-1.
They're a pivot point, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's the guy who drives the entire attack.
They're like a point guard in basketball, pretty much. Yeah. My only concern, I'll bring it up again, is that my hope would be the guys they're looking at play kind of the same system that we play now.
Right.
And I really, if they bring in a guy who doesn't play the same system we play now, I'm gonna lose it, because you can't bring in somebody like that and have them change at this point in the season.
Yeah, I think they have to look at the guys they have. Mm-hmm. You've got Miguel on the left. I think technically Darwin's a right winger. I think. I could be wrong about that. Molino's right winger. Finley's a right winger.
You don't like him anyways. Doesn't matter.
That's it. Miguel's left, and everyone else is right.
But
God, in my perfect world, like in my world, like I could just see the names you just mentioned. We've seen flashes of brilliance from all those guys. I mean, we've earlier we talked about our frustrations with Finley, but you've also seen those moments where he's without doubt. It's just so like I look at it like, man, if you just rattle off a bunch of players, Molino really came on. He came on literally yesterday, but he also played well with Trinidad and Tobago. And I mean, if he could become the player that he was before, his injury, boy, oh boy, that's an addition without an addition right there.
Look, if he could become the player he was back in Orlando before his first injury,
when Heath was there,
I mean,
but look at think about it, guys. Last year. In the beginning of the season last year, when we started this podcast, we were talking about we didn't have talent,
right?
And now we're talking about a lot of talent here, and we're almost going. We're going to get a 10, but who's going to go where and what happens?
Exactly.
There's no good back last year. It'd be a good slot. Just put that guy in there. Now we're talking about how's it going to work out.
Our team's too good. Yeah. We have too many talented players. I mean, 2 weeks ago we were sitting here after 3 losses in a row, sitting here talking about what's wrong with this team, and now we're sitting here talking about we've got too much talent. How are we going to fit it in? But Tony, I think your concern is right. Like how do they? If they add in the window, how is it going to fit in? I'm sure the front office, the coaching staff is having exactly the same conversation.
And I guarantee they're looking at. There are 2 other positions they're looking at. They're looking at left back, and they're looking at right back, because Dotson's not a right back.
No, he's not.
Gasper is, Gasper and Miller are. Well, actually, I take that back. Gasper's the only left back, because Miller's actually a right back.
Yeah.
So you have Miller, who would essentially be second. Well, see, you try to look at a depth chart.
Yeah, you can.
And you're saying, okay, Romain is number 1 at right back.
Yeah.
And Dotson, the way he's playing, obviously he's number 2. But he's not supposed to be there at all.
No, he's not.
So should he be counted in that depth chart there? But I don't know.
Could Dotson float over to left back?
Well, yeah, he plays fantastic at left back.
There you go.
So it's like you have these pieces. Now, obviously, Gasper is a legitimate left back. That's where he's supposed to be. And now, last night against a lesser opponent, he was fantastic.
Dominated.
Even against Atlanta, he wasn't really bad.
He was good.
Against SKC, he wasn't bad.
No.
So you've got this rookie who's MLS ready, who just needs more time because he's been injured half the season, and he looks maybe a little raw, but he looks really good.
Yeah.
So he's the only legitimate left back on the team. Now, Miller can play left back, but he's a different guy. He's more defensive. He doesn't attack well. He's a little slow, but he's still a solid player.
And I will bring this up just as we're talking about it, fits in well. And if we're talking about left, whether you're talking left back or right back, your fullbacks. I have to bring this up thanks to Jeff Reuter on Twitter. Just noticed that Madagascar actually beat Nigeria to win their Africa group stage. So their next match is not until July 7th.
Right.
So don't expect Metnier back anytime soon.
And this actually segues in it. So we are what we are at this point. We have a lot of talent. We decide where it's at. But let's talk about, guys, the MVP of the first half. I mean,
it's Romain.
It's Romain.
Yeah.
Of course it is. Because I remember podcasts when we started talking about all these signings we got. And Romain was we picked up this guy.
Yeah.
Right? Right back, left back, whatever he was. We picked this guy up. It was 9-ish. I was like, who is this guy? I had no idea.
Right.
I was more excited about Jan. I was more excited about Ozzy and Ike and all those guys.
And no one talked about him.
And nobody talked about him. Seriously, who would have thought? But this guy has come into this team and made a difference in that back spot. And probably the best defender, right back.
He's arguably the best in the league.
He's going to be in the All-Star game.
Yep. And he was a coach pick, which means that somebody who knows what they're doing actually sat down and said, this guy needs to be on the team.
Yeah. So, he's mine. He's yours. Dave,
I
think so?
really couldn't give you a good point to argue.
Which leads me into the All-Star game. I want to talk about it just a little bit here. We had texts about changing the way the All-Star game.
Because it's all Atlanta players.
Schweinsteiger is in it. Why?
Oh, he's one of the best players in the league.
He's not. It's
in terms of revenue, maybe.
In terms of revenue, yes. But I understand it because you get it's the same way that MLB has been. It's the Yankees used to get all the votes because everybody vote for the Yankee. Even if they weren't the best players, vote. MLS is the same way now. Atlanta. Same thing.
Yep.
I'm not knocking Atlanta. I hate Atlanta. I don't like Atlanta. But they're doing what the voting allows them to do. And that's stuff the ballot box, And
I don't know if it's changed like Major League Baseball. They changed the way they do their voting. I'm not sure if it actually is going to change what you're talking about, Tony, and the fact that you're going to get the players from the big markets, the big names. But this year, somehow the cards fell right. And then I think from a fan's voting perspective, if you're a fan of Major League Baseball and you look at the starting rosters for both the American and National League teams, the fans actually got it right.
They did.
It doesn't, including Minnesota podcast as we are, Jorge Polanco being your starting shortstop for the American League. First time in 40 years.
First time since Roy Smalley.
But anyway, so Major League Baseball got it right. I'm just saying there is hope that MLS can get it right as well. Clearly that didn't happen this year, but
I would hope that MLS would take a page out. I think NBA does this now. As NBA, it's a percentage. So percentage of fan votes, percentage of coaches, percentage of players.
I like that.
And that's it. And I think MLS should do the exact same thing.
I like that.
Because you get all these guys in MLS who they're having shitty seasons. But they're starters in the All Star.
Like Eddie Martinez.
Who's the starting goalkeeper? Did they get that right?
No, well, they didn't.
Or at least the backup.
Guzan was the fan choice.
Yeah.
Romain should be a starter on the West.
He should be.
He should be a starter on the West. Yeah. He has had the best season.
We're biased, but you can absolutely make a case.
Really, you're saying that MLS needs an electoral college for the MLS.
Yes.
Let's not get into politics.
We don't want the big markets. We don't need the big markets deciding the starting roster of the MLS All Star game, do we?
I had an opportunity to see politics in, and I had to go with it.
We're friends on Facebook. I see your politics stuff. I don't comment on it. But the thing is, like, when I look at the NBA and I go, okay, 50% of the vote is fans and then 25% is... So that kind of evens things out.
Right.
So, yeah, you can have some guy from Chicago or New York who gets a ton of fan votes, but then it evens out between the coaches and the players.
Right.
So they're not a starter anymore. They are a second. They're on the bench.
I love that. I want to send an email to the commissioner. The commissioner actually emailed me...
Who did?
Last year.
Garber?
Don Garber. It might have been a mass email. I don't
I think we all got an email. Remember that? We all got that email.
We brought that up on a pod. That's why I just had to... But I want to reply to that email and say, listen to our podcast. Tony, you are absolutely correct. I love that idea. I love the combination. Because
I think there's a chance. MLS and NBA have actually kind of found similarities in how they're doing things.
And they should.
I think the NBA is coming back from